How to explain dysfunctional family, 25F, to my partner's healthy family. 28M. I come from a pretty dysfunctional family. My parents are still together, but I have two half-brothers from each of my parents' previous relationships. They aren't related to each other. Growing up, this led to a lot of drama, favoritism, people picking sides, and constant tension. We also had serious financial struggles, which caused even more conflict and competition over resources. As an adult, I've been expected to carry most of the responsibility for maintaining relationships with my brothers, even though that effort hasn't really been reciprocated. One of my brothers was a bully to me growing up and is still disrespectful toward me as an adult. I confronted him about it this past summer, and we haven't spoken since. That situation alone is complicated, but right now my concern is more about my boyfriend's family. His family is very close. The siblings are best friends, talk all the time, and spend a lot of time together. When I've mentioned my siblings, his family has asked if we're close, whether my boyfriend has met them, etc. I usually say we aren't super close and that we all live in different cities, though they visit our hometown occasionally. What they don't know is that I have a strained relationship with one brother and barely speak to the other. We're starting to talk seriously about marriage, and the idea of inviting my siblings to a wedding honestly stresses me out. I don't know how to explain to my partner's family, when the time comes, why I wouldn't invite my brothers, or why they might not attend even if invited. Based on their questions, I think they assume my family dynamic is similar to theirs, and I've noticed that people from very healthy, close families often don't understand complicated family relationships. Their opinion matters a lot to me because my boyfriend is close with them, and I don't want this to negatively affect our relationship. How do I navigate this conversation in a way that's honest, but doesn't invite judgment or misunderstanding? Edit. We've been together for coming up on a year. Too long did not read. // I come from a dysfunctional family with strained relationships with my two half-brothers, while my boyfriend's family is very close and assumes my family dynamic is similar. As we talk about marriage, I'm stressed about explaining to his family why my siblings may not be invited to or attend our wedding, and I want to handle it honestly without hurting my relationship or inviting judgment. It really isn't any of their business, and they don't need to understand. Invite who you like and don't become so enmeshed in his family. Constant fights over my money. My 33 female, husband 42 male, is very controlling about how I spend my money. We have been married over 4 years, and it has been like this essentially since the beginning. For some context, when we got married, my husband and I both made approximately the same amount of money, with both of us making 6 figures, and me making maybe 10K more. He had significant savings and I had major debt, primarily student loans, but also about 25K of credit card debt. Some other context is that I had this credit card debt because my favorite little sister, who I feel like a mother to, needed to leave an abusive marriage, and I basically turned my life inside out to help her, multiple flights for her, me and my other sister to go get her things. I upgraded my apartment to a 2-bed/2-bath in a very high COL area, and furnished her bedroom. I paid for her divorce attorney. I also had to pay for her to travel with me when I traveled for work, because initially she was very weak and kept texting her ex when I left. She had major Stockholm syndrome. She met the guy when she was 18, married at 19, took years to escape him, and the whole time I basically had to stand by and watch her be abused until she was finally ready herself. I don't want judgment on this. If you've had any experience with this situation, you know it's tough. Anyway, she is precious to me, but I did get into some debt to help her. At the time I met my husband, she was still living with me, but she moved out to live with her new husband eventually. At the time I was slightly upset because she didn't help me move out at all, and I felt she just took her small things and abandons me. My husband, then BF, was super disappointed in her and with how she left me with a Peloton I bought for her, a cat I bought for her, and was just very absent on moving day. My sister has since majorly apologized for this. She is a dear sister to me. Sisters make mistakes, and at the grand scheme of our decades-long friendship, it's nothing LOL. My husband, however, never forgets this, how I did a lot for her, and she let me down. My husband and I shared our finances shortly before we got married, so we could sign a prenup, and also because we wanted to know each other's deal. I'm fine with the prenup. We wanted to keep our finances separate. He learned at that time about how bad my credit card debt was, and he gave me some advice on how to quickly pay it off, and helped me with a loan that I promptly paid back. Fast forward to now. Both of us have gotten raises, but my income with bonus last year was 4 times as much as his. We still split all expenses. We vacation pretty extravagantly. We live in a house we will own outright in September. My student loans are almost paid off. I have over $150K in my own savings, still much less than my husband has. I am maxing out my 401K, etc., basically doing very well. Tiny other context is we have had difficulty conceiving, and I have so far paid for almost fertility/IVF business, over 30K. He has paid maybe 2K. He says he wants to contribute more, but I say I rather pay so he doesn't resent the baby when it hopefully comes. I genuinely don't mind this, and I do expect eventually he will insist on paying me back for some of it. I come from a super poor family. My mom used to walk to donate plasma for money to survive. I saw her go through dodging creditors, filing for bankruptcy, eviction notices always on her door, eating from food kitchens, the works. My siblings have come out at different levels of success. I am by far the most successful financially. I love my mom dearly and I love to treat her, and my husband usually has no problem with me treating my mom. Like I take her out for caviar and oysters that she never had and he is happy. Unless I'm buying her something that he thinks all my siblings should pitch in on. For example, she needed new dentures, and I paid for the majority of the cost with my own sister pitching in slightly. Now my siblings do really try to help support my mom. We all got her a new car together, and split the price equally even though it was very hard on some of my siblings. I really don't like asking my precious siblings who are not necessarily in good financial shape to shell money out when I'm here sitting on excess. Before I married my husband, I loved getting my siblings extravagant gifts like MacBook or iPad or whatever for their birthdays. I've been capped at $100 a year for birthday gifts per agreement. My fault for agreeing to something I don't want to follow. My husband says it's the way I was spending before that kept me from saving. I do love and appreciate how frugal and money smart my husband is. I never contributed more than tiny amounts to 401K before meeting him. Now he even makes us pay over 4x our mortgage each month to pay it off ASAP. Usually I just defer to him on money decisions. He's good at it, and it makes him happy to manage our choices and our future. The issue is I cannot stop my deep desire to treat family. Last summer I was at a fancy resort in Europe lounging about my room, and my little sister called crying ABT her medical bills. I immediately sent her 1K because I couldn't stomach it that I was living large while she is suffering. If I wasn't married to my husband, I would have sent her 5 at least if not more. He was outraged on the 1K. These things keep happening like my sister gets bad news. I want to cheer her up. I Amazon a gift approximate $100 for her and her son. He finds out, gets angry. He says it hurts him the most that I hide from him, but when I tell him directly, he is still so upset. Yesterday I was feeling close to him, and he was chattering ABT how he loves me, and wishes I'd been honest ABT an expensive theme park I took my nephews to, but was in a seemingly happy forgiving mood. So I confessed I had also sent another sibling $275 about 2 weeks ago. He got so angry he wouldn't cook dinner for me. Usually he makes dinner, and ignored me now for over 12 hours. His anger is basically ignoring me while I weep at him. Toxic for sure, but the bigger issue for me is I always cave, and I say okay I'll stop, but truthfully I don't want to stop. I want some freedom to spend money on my family. My last year bonus, as I mentioned, was very good, and my husband said beyond paying towards my student loans, I could set aside $15K to buy myself whatever I wanted, but with one stipulation: no money or gifts towards family. He was envisioning like getting myself designer shoes or purses. I've never bought, and wouldn't buy those things as someone who grew up dirt poor. I don't want a Chanel bag or red bottoms. I dearly want to give money to my struggling family. By the way, he doesn't let me buy him expensive gifts either. I'm capped at $25 for gifts for him, and he's a very frugal guy. Despite having plenty of money, he buys his jeans at Walmart. For some background on him, he grew up very poor too, and is not close at all with family. His biggest fear is not being able to take care of himself. He sees our jobs and incomes as temporary, not promised, not a sure thing. He's right, of course. I respect his caution. Final little potential context. My job is incredibly demanding and does give me a lot of stress and lots of travel. I'm often away from home, panicking, working 12, 14-hour days. He says I work hard for my money, and my family doesn't deserve to take it. TLDR. Basically, My husband wants me to be super cautious like him, and especially wants me to not spend money on family. He is okay with me spending on myself. He thinks my family is abusing me and doesn't deserve my hard-earned money. I feel like I work hard for my money, and I want to spend it on my loved ones because I don't care ABT designer things, and I love my family. I also think I should be able to do it because I'm not damaging our goals. We are doing great. I wouldn't give to family if it hurt him or us. After writing all this, I guess the real thing we need is marital counseling. It's just the primary/only dispute we have, and I would love advice. How can I break through to him to give me some wiggle room? If he could give me some flexibility, I feel like I could stick to the rules, but he won't hear it. Or is this financial abuse even though he doesn't want my money, and he's okay with me doing whatever I want as long as it's for me? Silent treatment when you disagree isn't healthy conflict. That's punishment, not communication. Look up the podcast Money for Couples. Ramit is pretty good at helping people deal with issues like these. Should I end my 3-year relationship, or see if we can fix things? Too long did not read. Should I end my 3-year relationship or try and work things out? I, 20/F, and my BF, 21/M, have been together for 3 years, and we have one child, a baby boy. My parents had a horrible, and still have a horrible relationship. They've been on and off since I was born, and it's been terrible all around. My boyfriend's parents divorced when he was 3. I told myself growing up I would never have their relationship, and I would never put my kids through what I went through. Now, I didn't want to be a mom this early. I feel like the worst person in the world for saying it, but it needed to come out somewhere. I decided I wanted to end my relationship a week before we found out I was pregnant January 2025. I was devastated, and instead of talking to my boyfriend, I shut down. He didn't pressure me into keeping our child, and never has, but I still felt an overwhelming sense of guilt if I didn't have him. I don't know why or how to explain it, but I just couldn't bring myself to YKW. We were careful we used protection. This wasn't in my plans yet, but I stupidly let it happen. I feel like for the last year, I feel like I've been watching my life end with an atrocious amount of guilt. I didn't want kids till I was late 20s. I didn't want a serious relationship until my late 20s. It was all avoidable, and I let myself keep and have his child. He hasn't kept a job in the 3 years we've been together. Eve made the money. I had to quit my job during pregnancy because I was so sick, and he couldn't pick up the slack. He's tried, but one way or another, he ends up getting fired, usually from lack of showing up. As I'm writing this, he's still unemployed. It's killing me. We fight every day over the littlest things. He's been blowing up on me more. He's broken things in the house. He doesn't help out around the house. He wants to fish or hunt or go out anytime he can, while I'm completely alone with just him. I'm not blaming him for that, and part of it's jealousy, but I've tried talking to him about it. In return, I get a long pause, and "I love you, baby." He constantly needs help with the baby to the point I'm confident it's weaponized incompetence. I feel like I never truly get a break unless I sit there and let him cry. He can't make a bottle while holding him. He can't change a diaper without asking me for help. He's constantly complaining about his heath, but does nothing to improve it, which is half the reason he can't keep a job. I guess I'm asking what I should do. I still love my boyfriend with everything I have. I just don't know how or if I can be with him. It feels like we're at 2 different levels. So Reddit, should I end my 3-year relationship or see if we can work it out? This is what he can offer you. If you stay, don't expect anything to change. Can you go home to your parents? Yeet the fetus and get the boyfriend out to the curb. This is not healthy. He is not a partner. He is abusing you. Your child deserves better, and being a single parent to one child is much easier and financially reasonable than being 1 to 2. A friend, 35M, called me, 25F, fat as a result of built-up resentment. My friend, 35M, and I, 25F, have known each other for a couple of years and have always had a dynamic where we playfully roast each other. It was lighthearted and something we both seemed to enjoy. Most of the jokes have had to do with age, as he's older but more playful, and I'm younger but much more reserved. Yesterday, I ran into him while I was with another friend. He knew I've been really stressed and said he wanted to add to my stress. I expected something absurd or harmless, but instead he pointed at my stomach, said it looked big, and then said I was quite fat, including a gesture to emphasize it. I was shocked and had to leave the situation for a while to not start crying or say something stupid. My body is a really vulnerable topic for me, as my ex-partner used to use my insecurities to shame me. I was super angry and upset, and realizing I can't just leave things be, went to tell him that he should never comment on anyone's body again and that it's not a joke when it's about someone's weight. This morning, he sent me a long message apologizing, genuinely. He also wrote that I too have made jokes that were hurtful in the past, which I honestly didn't know, and he'd never mentioned it before. Examples he gave were when he'd broken his glasses, and I asked if he's blind now, and later when he got them fixed told him he got his eyesight back. He took the comments as me trying to belittle him in front of our mutual friends. Another comment was when we were part of a team hosting an event, and I suggested he go outside and promote it to passerbys. My intention was that he could go because he's handsome and approachable, but I didn't say that part aloud, and he interpreted it as me wanting him out in the cold and away from the group. I apologized for the comments I had made and told him I never would have said them to hurt or insult him. I also said that I don't want to continue this kind of dynamic at all anymore, because it clearly isn't working for either of us. He replied with a thumbs up. Now things feel super awkward and confusing. We'll see each other weekly due to shared activities, and I'm not sure what the healthiest way forward is. I guess my question is, how should we move forward? How should I act around him from now on? Too long did not read. Playful roasting stopped being friendly. How to move forward. This sounds like a really lousy friendship.